Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Anjali Demari, Associate Professor in the Department of English, Guwahati University. The course that we are doing is Indian Writing in English, and the module is Indian Identity in Question and the Evolution of Indian Drama. This module on the evolution of Indian drama traces the course of the emergence of drama by situating it in the larger socio-cultural context. An attempt has been made here to address the larger intellectual framework of self-fashioning and the politics of resistance. It aims to help the reader to negotiate the structures of knowledge, history of imperial domination, and the consequent effect on national imaginary. The discussions of major dramas, dramatists, aim to help the readers engage with a continuing debate on cultural identity. The history of Indian English drama gains momentum in the 19th century, where the history is marked by the production of Shakespearean theatre as well as vernacular plays. Jogendra Chandra Gupta's Kritivilas, produced in 1852, was the first play in Bengali to emulate the tone and techniques of Shakespearean tragedy. The importance of Indian languages was visible in all amateur and professional productions, as only the college students wrote in English. As we explore the pre-independence predecessors, Sri Aurobindo, Harindranath Chattopadhyay, T.M. Kailasam wrote chiefly on mythical or religious themes. Slowly, social concerns and reformist themes started to proliferate, especially with playwrights like Bharati Sarabhai, J.M. Lobo Prabhu, Asif Currimbhoy. Gradually, the National School of Drama was established in Delhi, and the National Drama Festival was started in Delhi by the Sangeet Natak Academy in 1954. Hence, the field of dramatic performance widened with the intrusion of folk elements to counter the burden of imperial domination. Drama became a multi-dimensional tool to democratize ideas of cultural identity, gender issues, and Indian theatre gave way to newer experiments. The module is designed to help you read critically the history of Indian English drama, understand the important socio-cultural events, context instrumental to the history of emergence of drama, to position the major dramatists in the proper historical context, to apprehend the major dramatic texts, and also to understand the performative and literary concerns of the dramatists. Now let us discuss the evolution of Indian drama. Starting from beginnings of Indian drama in English, 1857 to 1920. Krishna Mohan Banerjee's The Persecuted, or dramatic scenes illustrative of the present state of Hindu society in Calcutta, published in 1831, is regarded as the first play in English written by an Indian writer. Michael Madhusudan Dutt, who was born in 1827 and lived till 1873, is known for the plays Razia, Empress of India, published in 1858, and Sarmista in 1859, which are translations from Bengali. In Eke Ki Bole Sabhyata, which was published in 1860 and translated in English as Is This Called Civilization? In 1971, a farce, he criticizes the elite Bengali gentleman for whom the discussion on female education in Gyana Taringini Sabha merely expresses the hypocritical attitude towards the idea of progress. This play, along with Buro Shalikir Ghore Raun, published in 1860, and Dinabandhu Mitra's Sadhabar Ekadashi, published in 1866, contribute to the debate on education. In 1869, Madhusudan Dutt translated into English Dinabandhu Mitra's play Nila Darpan, published in 1860, a play on the inhuman exploitation of workers in indigo plantations. Another play of his, Nation Building, was published posthumously in the year 1922. Sri Aurobindo, who lived from 1872 to 1950, wrote 5 complete and 6 incomplete verse plays. Of these, the earliest are 2 fragments written during his student days in London: The Witch of Elney, A Dream of the Woodlands, published in 1891, and Achab and Esar. His Baroda period, 1893 to 1906, is marked by the famous plays The Viziers of Basora, a dramatic romance, Perseus the Deliverer, Rodogan, and 3 fragments, The Maid in the Mill, Love Shuffles the Cards, The House of Brooke, and The Birth of Sin, Prince of Edur, was written in 1907. The Witch of Elney and Achab and Esar indicate Sri Aurobindo's fascination for the trappings and themes of Elizabethan drama. The Viziers of Basora is based on a story from the Arabian Nights. His plays are entirely Elizabethan in conception and structure. Perseus the Deliverer is a romantic story of human temperament and life impulses on the Elizabethan model. Rodogan is Sri Aurobindo's only tragedy. Rabindranath Tagore, who lived from 1861 to 1941, wrote plays such as The Post Office, The King of the Dark Chamber, Chitra, The Cycle of Spring and Sacrifice, and other plays. All these appear in the collected poems and plays published in 1936. Thematically, his plays can be categorized into 2 broad groups: thesis plays and psychological dramas. In the first group, we may include Sannyasi, The Cycle of Spring, Chitra, Malini, Sacrifice, Natir Puja, and Red Oleanders. The second group includes The King and the Queen, Kacha and Devayani, Karna and Kunti, and the Mother's Prayer. In Sannyasi and The Cycle of Spring, the chief idea is a celebration of life. In Malini, Sacrifice, and Natir Puja, the court dancers worship, religious fanaticism is exposed and maternal love is presented in Kama and Kunti and the Mother's Prayer. Tagore employs symbolic and allegorical characters in the thesis plays and archetypal in the psychological dramas. Harindranath Chattopadhyay's poems and plays, published in 1927, contain 7 verse plays on the lives of Indian saints: Pundalik, Sakubai, Jayadev, Chokhamela, Eknath, Raidas, and Tukaram. 5 plays published in 1929 are written in prose and are replete with the socialist concerns of the author. The Window and The Parrot provide unique glimpses into the lives of the poor and the marginal, and The Coffin and the Evening Lamp offer an ironical tale of 2 romantics. The Centrist Lantern is a symbolic articulation of the renewed hope of a new era for the downtrodden mass. Siddhartha, Men of Peace, published in 1956, dramatizes the life of the Buddha in verse as well as in prose. Sarat Kumar Ghosh's The Prince of Destiny, published in 1910, Kedarnath Das Gupta's Kalifurate, published in 1916, and Bharata, with Margaret G. Michel, published in 1918, and Dhan Gopal Mukherjee's Laila Majnu, published in 1916, are significant plays. The most important Madras dramatists of the period was V.V. Srinivas Iyengar, who lived from 1871 to 1954 and who wrote Blessed in a Wife, published in 1911, The Point of View, published in 1915, Wait for the Stroke, published in 1915, and The Bricks Between in 1918. Now let us come to a discussion of Indian drama from the period 1920 to 1947. The pre-independence predecessors, Sri Aurobindo, Harindranath Chattopadhyay, T.P. Kailasam, continued to write on mythical or religious themes. The tradition continues with Sri Chaitanya, published in 1950 by Dilip Kumar Roy, a verse play in 3 acts about Chaitanya's teachings and his conflicts with his family members. Dilip Kumar Roy, in collaboration with Indira Devi, wrote The Beggar Princess, published in 1956, a play on the life of the saint poet Mirabai. Other playwrights like V. Srinivasan Iyengar, who lived from 1871 to 1954, is noted for Ramaraja, published in 1952, India Through the Ages, published in 1947, is a collection of 10 plays by Swami Avyakatananda. His All Prophets' Day is unique in terms of the exploration of themes of national integration and secularism. The plays of Joseph Matthias Lobo Prabhu, Dates Not Known, is replete with reformist themes like intercaste marriage, marital incompatibility, and the status and education of women. Joseph Matthias Lobo Prabhu's plays like Mother of New India, a play of the Indian village in 3 acts published in 1944, and Death Abdicates, published in 1945, deal with reformist themes and projects his progressive concerns. A.S. Panchapakesa Ayyar, who lived from 1899 to 1963, wrote various plays beginning with In the Clutch of the Devil, published in 1926, and The Trial of Science for the Murder of Humanity, published in 1942, and this is his last noted play. 2 collections of his plays are Sita's Choice and Other Plays, published in 1935, and The Slave of Ideas and Other Plays, published in 1941. Ayyar's reformist themes are expressed in Sita's Choice. The play deals with progressive themes, and here the young widow of an aged man marries a reformist youth, thereby critiquing the conventional codes of moral and ethical behavior. The Slave of Ideas deals with the clash between a young lawyer and his materialistic wife. His spirituality and morality is challenged by his wife. Ironically, the play ends with murder when the lawyer avenges by murdering his wife. Tyagaraja Paramasiva Kailasam, who lived from 1885 to 1946, is a bilingual writer, and he wrote his English plays based on stories from the Mahabharata in the style of Shakespeare's history plays. He used the grand rhetoric of Victorian English. His Kannada plays deal with contemporary themes and are written in the everyday spoken language of the educated Kannadigas, which he called Kannadanglo. Little Lays and Plays, published in 1933, contains 1-act plays in prose like The Burden, Fulfillment. Karna, or The Brahmin's Cause, published in 1946. The Brahmin's Curse is the only play in verse and prose. Now let us discuss Indian drama from 1957 onwards to the present. English drama immediately after independence mostly concentrated on religious, spiritual and mythical themes. Now examples include P.A. Krishnaswamy's The Flute of Krishna, published in 1950, a dramatization of the legend of a girl and a youth whose devotion to Krishna lead to their consequent transformation into the Lord's flute and cowherd staff respectively. M. Krishnamurti's dance drama set in feudal times, The Cloth of Gold, published in 1951. The Tagore Aurobindo Kailasam tradition of poetic drama is continued by the playwrights Manjeri Iswaran, G.V. Dasani, Lakhandeb and British Nandi. Based on the Rigveda Samhita, Ishwaran's Yama and Yami, published in 1948, dramatizes the incestuous love of Yami for her brother. G.V. Dasani's Hali, published in 1950, is an allegorical representation of man's quest for fulfillment. The protagonist is named after a Muslim saint and representative of humanity and denotes the journey of every man. Lakhandev is known for his blank verse plays. The historical drama Tiger Claw, published in 1967, narrates the encounter between Shivaji and the Bijapur general Afzal Khan. Vivekanand, 1972, and Murder at the Prayer Meeting, published in 1976, are chronicle plays. British Nandis writes for a plebeian statue, published in 1969, Hashmat Suzero Kashmir's Vikramjit, published in 1970, a verse sermon on national integration, Sridevi Singh's The Purple Braided People, published in 1970, a pageant of decaying Indian feudalism, P.S. Vasudev's The Sunflower, published in 1972, and S. Raman's Karna, published in 1979, are some other examples. Asif Currimbhoy, who lived from 1928 to 1994, was the most powerful voice during this period, and he wrote plays like The Dole Drummers, published in 1960, The Dumb Dancer, published in 1961, Goa, published in 1961, and The Hungry Ones, published in 1965, The Tourist Mecca, published in 1959, Darjeeling Tea, published in 1971, An Experiment with Truth, published in 1969, The Restaurant in 1960, Inqilab in 1970, The Refugee, which came out in 1971, and The Captives, which was published in the year 1963. His plays are rich in theatrical devices in the form of monologues, choruses, chants, songs, slide projections, sound effects, mime. Currimbhoy's plays are replete with the passionate representation of his dramatic, social, political, and moral purpose. He is basically concerned with history, politics, socio-economic issues, psychological portrayals, religion and philosophy, East-West encounter, and turned contemporary political and social situations into passionate dramatic statements. Goa, published in 1965, is an allegorical representation of the struggle for the liberation of Goa. The Tourist Mecca deals with East-West encounter. The Dumb Dancer dramatizes the saga of a Kathakali dancer. An Experiment with Truth deals with the freedom struggle and assassination of Gandhi. A Touch of Brightness, published in 1968 by Pratap Sharma, continues the social critique as it gives a picture of the red light district of Bombay with its violence, corruption, and ensuing homelessness. The Professor has a war cry, published in 1970, also deals with a similar theme. Gurcharan Das, born in the year 1943, transforms his historical material into potential dramatic representation. Set in Lahore in 1846-47, Lawrence Sahib, published in 1970, deals with a crisis in Punjab after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh when the East India Company routed the Sikhs. Das's Meera, acted in 1970, and Nine Jakhuhil, acted in 1996, are collected in 3 plays. Ibrahim Al-Qazi was a powerful influence on theatre in Bombay in the 1950s. His idea of theatre as a totality with set, costume, music, and light design integrated with performance and speech to create a dramatic language was revolutionary to urban Indian audience. In Bombay, Al-Qazi directed several plays and his range includes Greek tragedies, Shakespeare, Ibsen, Samuel Beckett, and John Osborne. Nissim Ezekiel, who lived from 1924 to 2004, wrote plays which are replete with a sense of self-consciousness, social issues, and realistic themes. Ibrahim Al-Qazi was his mentor. His three plays, published in 1969, includes Nalini, Marriage Poem, and Sleepwalkers. In Nalini, described as a comedy, we witness the comic contrast between the real and phantom Nalini. The play explores the feeling of rootlessness of the class of westernized Indians. Marriage Poem explores the conjugal life of an upper middle class couple where the wife longs for the love and care of an indifferent husband. Sleepwalkers is a one-act satire on the Indian tendency of glorifying the United States. Now let us have a look at some of the Parsi playwrights. Let us begin with Gieve Patel, who was born in 1940. His plays were set in his native place of South Gujarat, and they are replete with the representations of the marginal sections like Parsis, Iranian Zoroastrian refugees, and Warlis, tribals working as laborers for the rich Parsi landlords in South Gujarat. The Warlis form a significant background to highlight the Parsi struggle for cultural recognition, and Patel deals with their desire to possess and control material wealth as well as intellectual recognition. Princess, acted in 1970, dramatizes the declining fortunes of Parsi land-owning families immediately after independence, when their sources of income was terribly threatened by the Land Ceiling Act and Prohibition. In Savaksa, published in 1982, the story of Savaksa, an aged and wealthy provincial landowner and political leader, is dramatized. Mr. Behram, published in 1988, is concerned with the life and struggle of Behram, a reformist lawyer. In 1972, Pesi Khandalwala produced Ah Noman, a play about the waning fortunes of a Parsi family. Dungaji House, published in 1991 by Cyrus Mistry, born in 1956, continues the trend. Dungaji House goes beyond operating as a symbol backdrop in the play. It appears as a character in the play the way the family members living in the house appear. Now let us come to a discussion of theatre of roots, a movement to create an indigenous Indian theatre that is different from the westernized colonial theatres. Indian theatre practitioners after independence started the method and process of returning to their roots, their origins. In their effort of Indianization of theatre, they returned to classical dance, myth, religious ritual, martial arts, popular entertainment, and aesthetic theory. This movement is the first conscious effort to create an archive of plays for the urban audience, combining modern European theatre and traditional Indian performance. Ken Panikkar, Habib Tanvir, Vijay Tendulkar, Girish Karnad, significant members of the movement, took recourse to traditional forms of Kathakali, Yakshagana, Chau Natyashastra tradition, etc. Stylization is the essence of this movement, employing music, verbal chant, rhythmic syllables. Girish Karnad, Vijay Tendulkar, Ken Panikkar, Habib Tanvir are significant names in the history of integration of folk and ritualistic elements into theatrical performance. Girish Karnad, born in 1938, is a Kannada actor, director and playwright known for Tughlaq, which was published in 1972, Hayavadana, published in 1975, Nagamandala, Play with a Cobra, published in 1990, Tale Danda, published in 1993, and The Fire and the Rain, which was published in 1998. Karnad uses experimental models. Hayavadana, straight from the horse's mouth, literally, projects the desire to return to its roots in the rich tradition of ancient Indian drama. Sanskrit and folk drama in the Prakrits are the indigenous sources to authenticate the tradition of performance. Hayavadana is a bold experiment in the use of folk motifs like the Bhagavat, narrator masks, miming, the chorus, etc. The story is taken from the ancient Kathasarit Sagar, though the immediate source is Thomas Mann's version of it in the transposed heads. Karnad takes recourse to Indian history in Tughlaq, a historic play on the life of Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq of the 14th century. Vijay Tendulkar's plays Ghasiram Kotwal, Silence, The Court is in Session, Kamla, Kanyadan deal with the themes of violence, sex, suffering, and identity crisis. His characters are displaced personas confronting the hostile society where exploitation rules supreme. Tendulkar's plays are symbolic depiction of the new awareness of human alienation. Badal Sircar is one of the first practitioners of street theatre in India. Representing the new theatrical movement in modern India, Sircar has created People's Theatre, a theatre propagated, supported and created by people. Sircar's plays are based on socio-political, psychological, existential problems, and he propagates the concept of third theatre in Solution X, Ebom Inderjit, published in 1962, The Other History, published in 1964, and There Is No End, published in 1971. Habib Tanveer's Mitte Ki Gari, published in 1954, and Agra Bazaar, published in 1954, brought music and poetry back to Indian theatre in terms of the synthesis between folk and modern theatrical traditions. Ratan Thyam contributes the indigenous tradition by writing plays based on Manipuri myths and legends. Thyam employs a variety of performance forms like oral forms, storytelling, the martial art Thangta, ceremonial and ritualistic performances, regional theatrical traditions as well. Famous works are Chakravyu, Bhasha's Urbhangam. Utpal Dutt is one of the founding members of IPTA, Indian People's Theatre Association, an important landmark in political theatre in India. A director, playwright, actor committed to political causes and Marxist views, Dutt is active in Bengali theatre and focuses on the sufferings of common man. Shambhu Mitra, founder of theatre group Bahurupi, aims to represent mundane, non-represented realities. Safdar Hashmi, chiefly associated with street theatre, is chiefly known for plays like Enemies, Mote Ram Ka Satyagraha, dealing with ethnic resistance and authoritarianism. The forte of Mohan Rakesh is the exploration of human emotions caught in the web of striking realities of life. Aadhe Adhure, or Halfway House, deals with the disintegration of a middle-class family. Ashar Ka Ek Din, published in 1958, is a lyrical play based on the life of Kalidas, and in Lehron Ki Rajhans, Mohan Rakesh deals with the crisis of common man, threat to human relationships, drama as a complex art of effect of lights, actors, music, and effective stage direction. Now let us come to a discussion of Indian People's Theatre Association, IPTA. An association of the leftist theatre artists under the left parties was established to translate the aim of bringing cultural awakening and consciousness among the Indian masses. The agenda was to abolish religious bigotry, social abuse, political and economic exploitation. It started as a low-key affiliate of the left-wing anti-fascist writers and Artists Association of Calcutta. Groups of artists, singers, performers toured the country to help the victims of Bengal famine of 1943, and the productions were influenced by the corruption. Bijon Bhattacharya's Nabanna, Beautiful Harvest in 1944 is the first major success of the projection of theatre as an instrument of protest and resistance. IPTA branches throughout India in Orissa, Kalicharan Patnayak's Bhata, Rice, deals with the problem of untouchability and hunger among Orient peasants. In Kerala, K. Damodaran focuses on the relation between landlord and tenant in Pattabakki, the landlord's dues or balance of rent. Mahesh Dattani, born in 1958, creates transformative spaces which enhance stage movement and performative pace. He explores contemporary social and political realities in themes like Indian joint family and its impact on the individual, identity crisis, gender sexuality, the plight of women in Indian society, and homosexuality, a taboo for most Indians. His final solutions and other plays, published in 1994, contains 4 full-length plays, Where There's a Will, Dance Like a Man, Bravely Fought the Queen, and Final Solutions. Tara, on a muggy night in Mumbai, Do the Needful, and 7 Steps Around the Fire are some other plays by Dattani. Now, let us have a look at other contemporary dramatists. Some other contemporary playwrights are Zubeen Driver from Bombay and Vijay Padake from Bangalore. The title play of R. Raj Rao's The Wisest Fool on Earth and Other Plays, published in 1996, centers around the theme of homosexuality. Fresh Rules, published in 1995 by S. Vasuki, offers microwave mythology. Shashi Tharoor's 22 Months in the Life of a Dog, a farce in 2 acts, is based on the emergency of 1975. Khushwant Singh's Tiger Burning Bright presents a mixed group of tourists trapped in the guest house of a national game preserve, terrified by the reports of a man-eater. So this module on the evolution of Indian drama tried to trace the course of the emergence of drama by situating it in the larger socio-cultural context. An attempt was made here to address the larger intellectual framework of self-fashioning and the politics of resistance. In terms of negotiating the structures of knowledge, history of imperial domination, and the consequent effect on national imaginary, it helps the reader to confront the issues of cultural identity. Thank you.